So many of the international estimates from IEA and other think tanks look out to 2050 or 2100 as being a time in which solar is relevant. And what we decided to do is to say, no, we're going to be relevant sooner. We're one of the few technologies that can ramp up very quickly in the near term, can not only reduce carbon emissions, but will also create economic opportunity around the world. Solar is one of the few technologies that can scale up rapidly. This year, globally, the solar industry will grow by over 100%. And now over the last decade, we've been growing at a rate of over 50% per year, so a compound annual growth rate of 50% per year for the last decade. There's no other industry that's had that kind of success, that's been able to continue that growth rate. We're now at a point where the cost of solar has come down and it's achieved grid parity throughout many parts of the world. I think one of the reasons why solar is such an attractive option is that it works in every single country. We all survive based on sunlight. We all grow crops in agriculture that are dependent upon the sun. If you can grow plants where you live, you can utilize the sun to generate electricity. It's as simple as that. And by going solar, there is no on-site carbon emissions. There is no fuel input required. You have nearly a perfect source of energy, regardless of what solar technology you're using, that will last for 25, 30 years or even longer.
We have seen that, as I said before, the great development of PV is mainly done in Europe and mainly due to the effective support mechanism, which is the feed-in tariff. However, Europe is not the most sunniest region of the world. There are others, as you can see here in the map, and we have identified as the most sunniest ones, the ones that plus minus 35 degrees of the equator. Energy infrastructure is poor, the electricity costs, the electricity prices are quite high, and they have quite high radiation, so we thought this is the perfect terrain when solar technologies can really be implemented. We can project that PV system price expected really to decrease around 40 to 50 by 2020 and 46 to 66 by 2030. What we have tried is really to size the opportunity and to see how attractive the irradiation and how attractive PV can be depending on the climate conditions. And we have really tried to situate it in the different countries depending the irradiation and depending, of course, the environment, about how stable political environment is, how easy the access to finances, if there is a financial and business stability, etc. And you see that one of the most promising countries that we have identified there is India, Mexico, Brazil, Singapore, China.
Two different categories of stakeholders need especially to be supported to have a sustainable rural electrification, a sustainable off-grid renewable energy program. The local private sector. Before public-private partnership, you need private sector development. In reality, is if you want the private sector to participate to your program, if you want to have investment, operation, maintenance, spare parts, training, you need to rely on a local private sector, and you need to work on its development, and it's possible. You can support technology transfer and company agreement. You can work on your call for tenders to link them with subcontracting or alliance between Northern Company and Southern Company. You can provide technical and business training to local SMEs and support business organization. It's not impossible. A lot of independent power producers are starting to work with renewables, but they need to be formed, they need to be trained. The second big group of stakeholders that should be targeted is the local finances sector. On the contrary of what a lot of people think, developing countries don't necessarily need, they do, but not only grants and subsidies. The reality is sometimes they just need soft loans, they just need microfinance institutions, they just need banks to be there and to lend money, especially for renewables, because renewables are still an unknown beast in these countries. And tariff and subsidies are, of course, a central question when it comes to off-grid renewables in developing countries. Too often systems were dealt free of charge, and too often they have destroyed local energy markets. This is impossible. Well, this should not exist anymore. And well, people start to understand that renewables and rural electrification should go through a business-oriented approach.